Welcome back, bandits. I'm RedBandit, and this is your ranch for the latest and greatest Red Dead Redemption 2 information, speculation, and more. So, two brand new hands-on previews have released about Red Dead Redemption 2, one of which is packed with fresh details and exciting scenarios, and the other one is slightly less detailed and has only one or two new points that have any face value for us today. So the first preview comes from a New Zealand website named Future 5, and Future 5's article is the one that we'll be covering first. It's packed with tons of details. Now the second article comes from a company that none of us could have guessed, Red Bull. Yeah, I mean, the energy drink guys who support BMXers, racers and sportsmen, well, Red Bull played the game, and I found that very strange that Red Bull are playing Red Dead Redemption 2, but like YouTubers and other articles and gaming journalists don't get to play the game, but these giant companies like Red Bull and like, what's going to be next, Audi? I mean, you never know. But anyway, Rockstar Games are clearly, they know what they're doing with their marketing, so we're going to be covering them in today's video. So the first interesting point that Future 5 had to say is as follows. My host told me that there was a butcher in town that I could sell the carcass to from the deer I had just shot with my bow and arrow. I also need to be mindful that the meat would spoil if I left it on my horse for too long. Now they do go into detail about how in their demo they got their bow and arrow out, they saw a deer, they missed the first shot, he then used his environmental awareness to track down this deer and eventually kill it. Now what's most interesting about this is some of us already knew this and some of us didn't, and it's nice that they've emphasized on this a lot more. You can take your hunted meat back to camp, you can take it and be greedy and eat it yourself, or we can genuinely make a living in game by just shooting animals, hunting them, taking them to a butcher and selling them for money, and we can actually live on an we don't even have to do any missions in this game to get money, we can just go hunting. And again, that's reiterating the fact that Rockstar Games have gone into so much detail that there's so many different ways to earn money. Kind of like in GTA, how GTA Vice City and San Andreas, you can basically make a living by doing taxi driving. Okay, the money might not be great, but for the first part of the game when missions aren't paying as much, it's definitely a great way to earn money. Just like the town, the Vanderland gang's camp seems alive, with the gang and their families all going about their business. Tied to a tree was an unfortunate member of a rival gang. He didn't take much persuading to disclose his gang's location. Now this is something that was also spoken about, I believe, on Red Dead Radio, where they said that there was something very spooky and almost psychopathic about Dutch Vanderland's face when this guy is tied to a tree and not being tortured but definitely being poked and pressured into giving away this gang's location. But what follows this statement is most interesting to me. You don't have to go in guns blazing, the stealth works as well. As we approached the rival gang's camp, I selected Arthur's throwing knives. Rather than ask one of my men to do the dirty work, I thought I'd give it a go. I managed to take out an enemy, but I was spotted, and the resulted gunshot alerted the whole camp. Now we know that stealth is an option, we know that bows and arrows are going to be a way to use stealth, and we know that we can choose whether we want to do missions with stealth. But what I found most interesting about this is the detail he went into about it, and also throwing knives. Now, throwing knives were my favourite weapons in Red Dead Redemption 1. When I say my favourite, okay, I'll admit, like, the bolt-action rifle was probably my favourite rifle, my favourite pistol. Well, we all kind of love the high-power pistol. But when we talk about favourite weapon, and it's fun to use, and it never gets boring, the throwing knives were just so satisfying to hit people and kill people from such distances. And sometimes online, I would just play around with my friends and secretly throw a throwing knife, and if it hit one of their horses, we would all burst out laughing. It's such a great weapon in the game, and I'm so glad it's coming back, and I cannot wait to do some montages for you guys. Gameplay videos, challenges where we try and complete missions stealthily rather than the way with guns blazing. Now this is really interesting. As I trotted into town, I passed a hanging. A woman was crying. I presume that's supposed to say crying rather than cry. I mean, come on guys, you're supposed to be journalists, right? Well, she was crying hysterically. The image of a deer still fresh in my mind, and now this, a no-hold-barred execution? Red Dead Redemption 2 pulls no punches in its portrayal of how tough life was back then. As I approached the butcher with my dead deer, I got my left and right muddled up, accidentally pulling my gun on the poor fella, and the butcher ran away. So this is really, really cool. Like in GTA 5, the most you'll see is maybe a police chase. Maybe in GTA 4, you'll see a drunk guy. You know, you don't see much in games like that previously with Rockstar Games. I seem to remember leading up to the release of GTA 5, I was like, oh my god, we're going to see NPCs parachuting. We're going to see NPCs windsurfing. None of that came to the game. I mean, we barely see like NPCs walking dogs on GTA. But Rockstar, they are really taking it to the next level here. We're going to see all of those things I listed above. Okay, not parachuting, you know. It is 1899. But we will see things like hanging, like public executions, and really gritty, downright honest, but brutally honest events that happened back in 1899. And that's why I'm very excited. So Red Bull didn't really give much more information than we already knew. They did, however, elaborate on one interesting point that was something I wanted to speak about. And they said that each weapon can be pulled apart and inspected. You can personalize them with engravings and other vanity dressings, and you can also learn to craft unique ammunition to benefit various scenarios, or just be a badass. Now, one of you guys pointed me this out on Twitter, at Philo Green, Felix the Barber. Thank you for pointing me this out on Twitter. Well, in the screenshot where Arthur Morgan's got a deer slung over his back in the snow, if you look at the bullets, they've got an orange tip to them. They almost look like Nerf bullets. Well, in this statement where it says you can actually adapt different bullets and ammunition to certain things in the game, well, I'm starting to think that those bullets have been crafted specifically for hunting. So it would make sense. Let me know what you guys think about that down below. Of course, the part that we could take apart weapons, you know, that probably goes in line with the fact that we've got to clean weapons now, dry them off when they get wet, so on and so forth. Anyway, I thought that information was really cool. If you guys agree, leave a like. In fact, no, that isn't our way of saying it. Deadeye that like button down below and let me know what you think about these pieces of information. What's your favourite? As always, I try and reply to as many comments as I can, and I will see you guys in the next video. Adios.